Happy Friday, everybody. It's Ernesto, and it is absolutely hot out there in Southern California, and it's about 100 right now, and it's a little bit humid as well too. So hopefully you're cooling down. But I wanted to do a live streaming video to invite a really cool individual that we'll be doing a promotional video for tomorrow. She's from San Diego. I'm gonna invite her right now. Hopefully she gets on. Oh, there she is. I'm going to send her an invite. All right, so Patricia is a therapist, and I heard her story. She's got a really cool story here, and I want you guys to join in. Hey, Patricia.
Hey, Ernesto.
Hey, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm so nervous I could throw up. Thank you. How are you?
You'll be fine. Because all the people that's on Facebook right now, they're pretty, all my followers, all my friends, they're pretty cool, right?
Yes, they are.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So you're trying to get everything situated there
I
on your end.
am. How's that?
That's good. That's
All
perfect
right.
right there.
Good.
Yeah. So once in a while, I want you to lean in. There you go. Lean in.
Okay.
There it is. So Patricia, you are stepping outside of your comfort zone at the moment.
Oh, Lordy, yes.
So, one thing that before you got on, I was telling everybody that, it's not easy to get out in front of the camera, and it's not easy to do things that you're so fearful and anxious about, but you are actually stepping out to challenge yourself to get to that point. Tell me your story.
Whew. Um, what I feel passionate about, Ernesto, is women being seen and heard. And what
Mm,
I'm seeing is that it is feeling really, really scary and vulnerable to be seen.
yeah.
And I have such a strong message that I want to share. And that message, I'm very clear about the message, but what's coming up for me is a lot of anxiety and feeling so afraid that my fear and anxiety is going to get in the way of being able to deliver what I feel really strongly about. And a lot of my perfectionism, and I think once the social anxiety comes up, it almost paralyzes me. And it's been a really long time since I felt this much fear.
Wow. Wow. But yet, despite all of that, you're still pushing. What inspires you to do this besides your message?
Well, let's see, I had a great cry on the phone with you today. That was cry number two today. Hey, you show up and you say what's going on. My message to women is to let go of the perfectionism, to let go of the need to have everything look good and like we have it all together. But like I shared with you on the phone earlier today, it's so much more comfortable when I can hold it together and tell you that I'm vulnerable as opposed to falling apart and being in it.
Oh my
And
gosh.
and my message to women is, it's okay to fall apart and be in it. And yet when I'm in it, it feels really vulnerable. But
Mm,
I think effective therapy is really about us willing to push ourselves and to be willing to walk the walk that we're telling our clients to do. And what I know about myself, being a highly sensitive person, is that things affect me deeper than they do other people. And
mhm.
for me, crying helps a release. It helps get things up and out. I'm very process oriented. And when I find people that are okay with that and can support me in that, it really helps to move through it. I'm still incredibly uncomfortable. I mean, like nauseous, throw up uncomfortable. But
Mm.
you do what you can do, and then you sit with the nausea and pray that you don't throw up in front of someone.
The beauty about what you're doing and the way that I'm seeing you do this, and for those of you who are watching and going to watch this later, we are going to be doing Patricia's promotional video tomorrow, and the process has been, excruciating for her to say the least, right? But at the same time, I'm looking at this and I'm so inspired by her courage just to step out. Not very many of us are willing to step outside of the comfort zone. So when you get to that place, do you visualize something? Do you think of one of your clients who have stepped out with you? What gets you there?
Well, I think there's a couple things. Up until about this week, I've been really excited about it. And then this week, it's turned into the terror and the fear. I really keep going back to my why. And my why is that I just want women to have a sense of belonging, a sense of connection. And I think the best way to do that is to model that you suit up and show up even when it's uncomfortable, even when you
Mm,
don't want to, even when it's scary. And there's such power in vulnerability and allowing people to see us where we're at. I mean, I'm struggling with that right now. I'm struggling with allowing myself to be seen. And what I know is that there's tremendous power that comes from that, internal power. And the more that we allow ourselves to be seen and heard, the easier it is to continue to do it. And when we have really big things that we're facing, then maybe like me, you feel like you have to throw up and you cry a couple times. But
yeah.
that's okay. That's, if that's what your process looks like, you just kind of know that that's what it is.
It sounds to me as if you are almost as if you are becoming one with your anxiety, and that you are not one that's going to sit down and be paralyzed by your anxiety. You know that it's there. You know that it's real. You know it's powerful, but yet you step outside of that comfort zone to just do it. And your why sounds like it's bigger than you. It's
Hmm.
bigger than your message.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hmm. So for people who are struggling with being seen, for struggling with, some of these internal views of themselves, what's your message to them? What do you want to say to them?
Here's the thing where it gets a little tricky. You've really got to be able to dial into, is this going to help me right now if I push, or is it going to hurt me? Because I think that, again, especially as women, we're often taught, this is Gracie. Um, she
Hey,
she just finished eating, so she came in to say hi. Gracie, she's my one-eyed wonder.
that's
Gracie just
awesome.
Gracie just has one little eye.
Hmm.
So anyways, um, ask me the question again.
So, what's your message for them? What are you want to
Oh,
encourage? Like, for
gotcha.
instance, yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. So, especially as women, I think we're taught to push ourselves beyond what's helpful, that we need to look good, we need to say the right thing, we need to be polite, we need to not hurt anybody's feelings. We learn to
Mm,
abandon what's good for us. And so, what I would really say for women is you've got to tune in and decide, is this going to be a helpful thing right now to push, or do I need to wait? Because I think that
mm,
we're so accustomed to abandoning ourselves and doing things that violate our values, and then we feel really bad. And
mm.
what I know is the last couple months, I've really been pushing and putting myself out there more than I have probably ever. And this last week has been a time for me to really need to kick back. I gave myself 2 days and figured that would be great. And then I was really upset when I found out I needed more time. Like that wasn't in my plan. Well, guess
Right.
what? I don't always get to plan what I need.
Yeah.
So really it means figuring out, do you need to be more gentle with yourself right now, or do you need to push a little bit? And that's something that I work with women to help them try and figure that out, because you don't want to do something that's going to push you too far.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like the work that you do, the pain that you go through, the excruciating, mind games that go in and out, helps you to be a little bit more in tune with the women that you work with, their suffering, some of the things that they're doing. So it's almost as if you're using your own struggle to help them along with theirs. Is that something that's true?
Absolutely. And it's been ironic this week that because so much of my own fear has been coming up for me, things that I thought I'd work through. The reality is, Ernesto, we all have stuff and it keeps coming up for us. And I think the more we challenge and grow, the more our stuff comes up and it just recycles. And
Mm,
um, I've almost been wondering if the pain and the fear is coming up to really help me remember what that stuff is, so that when I make the video with you and when I reach out to other women, I remember what that is. Because when we're doing well, it's really easy to forget about what the pain points are. And the
mm,
truth is, we have great times and then we have times that we struggle. And I think learning to be as compassionate as we can when we struggle. And I have to tell you, I've made some choices today that have not been the best food choices for me. If you looked at them, you probably wouldn't even notice. For me, I know that didn't work, but what I did do, I went to yoga. I have an accountability buddy. I had a great talk with you. I did things that I needed to do. I think when we can find as much compassion for ourselves as we can, and do what we need to do and to find that tightrope of balance, the tightrope of balance. It's all we can do.
Yeah, yeah. What does, because we are going to be filming your promotional video tomorrow,
Right.
and it sounds like your promotional video has much more meaning than what I thought it would be. I thought it was just, hey, let's showcase your practice, right? Let's show you the beauty of your practice, let's show your personality. But now that I'm thinking about it, your promotional video that we'll be filming tomorrow has much more meaning than I thought it was. Could you tell me a bit more of that meaning for you?
Yeah. You know what happened this week when I went into so much pain about this? I decided to do an unplug from social media. I really got into comparing and seeing what everybody else was doing and feeling less than. And I have a group that I do every Thursday, and I got overwhelmed in the group and felt inadequate. So I decided to do an unplug for a couple of days, and even podcasts. And in my job, I do a lot of driving around. And so I just found music that was very soothing. And this is how it always works when we allow for space. I got this great visualization of what I want to talk about in the video tomorrow. And to dial it all down, it goes, I feel like I say the same thing over and over again. I don't know if it sounds like it, but really wanting women to feel like it's really okay to show up and be who you are, to be your messy self. I really thought I'd be crying tonight, so I don't know why I'm not. I was okay with that. I got the Kleenex right here if I need it.
Awesome.
Because I want to model what I tell my patients, what I tell my clients. I want us to all have that messy imperfection for ourselves. And it's hard when we can't hold it together and somebody else has to be there and hold it for us. And really, that's what you did for me today on the phone. And I told you, it makes me feel really vulnerable to not be able to hold. I'd rather tell you I'm uncomfortable than to show you that I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But that's about vulnerability and authenticity.
Absolutely. You know, one of the most, you threw me off today when you asked me, why don't we do a live streaming video today? And I was like, what? You were so prepared. You were so more freaked out about the promotional video tomorrow that we're doing than
Mm-hmm.
the live streaming today. What inspired you to give me a call and say, Ernesto, let's do a live stream video that people can see me, and let's just go for it. I want this. What inspired you to say that or ask that?
Well, we had talked about doing it next week after we did the filming. And my thought is next week I'm over it and I'm going to be talking about it like it's not a big deal. And, again, I make a plan and in my life, God laughs. So God's having a little joke right now. But because I was in so much pain and vulnerability today when I talked to you, I really want to be authentic about my process. And I thought, if I'm a hot mess, then let's show up and have me be a hot mess, because
Wow.
that's what it's about.
You are doing the ultimate authentic, genuine showing up. I mean, literally, you are living out what you're, not only what you're telling your clients, but it's almost that why, right? Why am I
Mm-hmm.
doing this? And instead of showing up, uh, prepared, you are showing up in this idea of, I'm not all together, and that's okay. I'm not going to die. In fact, my authenticity is going to be power,
Yeah.
right? That is
Yeah.
such a beautiful testimony to many people who are struggling to be seen, right? To look at themselves and to just come up with these negative thoughts about who they are. But now you are stepping outside and you go, you know what? No, I'm done with this. I am done with not being seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's it.
You know,
And
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just going to say, on your Film It Facebook page, I get so much inspiration seeing you show up and seeing people, going on live and just showing up in the moment. And my fear has been, I really want to do it, but I have such a fear of I'm going to go blank and I'm not going to have anything to say. And the only way to get better is to keep showing up and practicing. And so you've really created such a safe platform for people to show up and practice. And that's what I see other therapists doing. And I think part of it, this is who I am and this is what I believe. And adding the video component is a whole new aspect of it. But you've been so supportive and encouraging, and it's such a great community,
Yeah.
you know.
You know, Patricia, I want you to kind of focus on some of the comments that's being said right now. I don't know if you can see it on your end, but Kathleen said
Mm-hmm.
something incredibly powerful. She says, I can relate. You are almost as if
Mm,
you're becoming a voice. Thank you for being courageous and authentic. This is so valuable and powerful. Let me just go back and read the other thing. Jamie Stacks says, love it, messy imperfection, heart. Here's another one that's Lake Nicole says, let me go back. She said something really cool as well too. It's all the way up there. But what's it like for you to see some of these comments, knowing that you're showing up authentically, unmuted, unfiltered, and you've got these people coming in that you are somewhat um, connecting, that you're
mm-hmm.
somewhat inspiring. Look at this. This is powerful. And Sovan says, "Thank you, Ernesto and Filmit Tribe. I've grown from being, from being apart." So,
Mm-hmm.
what's that like for you to hear this? And you put it against some of the things that you go through in your own mind.
Yeah. It's really powerful. What my process has been about is knowing that I have something valuable to share and not being clear what that is. And hey, Laura. Whew. Um,
Just take your time, okay? Take your time.
Thanks. I think I'm just really feeling a lot of love and support right now. And, knowing that I've been through some things that are, I'm a wounded healer, like most of us are.
Sure.
And knowing that I have a valuable message to share and not knowing what that is and knowing that it's time that will unfold. But part of what the process is to show up and to speak my truth, which is what I'm doing right now. And really wanting to have that connection with other people and wanting other people to know that we all struggle. We all struggle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You're not alone. And, Jamie Stack says, being real, that's tough shit. But it's really
Yeah.
all we can be
Right.
ourselves. That is just a powerful statement, Jamie. So I want to go back just a little bit. You mentioned your truth, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where this is going to lead to with this question. And of course, as a therapist, that's my natural go-to, the process question, right?
Sure.
So, Patricia, let me ask you, what is your truth? What is that?
What is my truth? My truth is that I've never been asked that. That's a deep one, and I thought I was pretty deep. You got me. Um, my truth is that I had a pretty fair amount of trauma growing up, and I felt very different. I felt wrong. I felt like I was too much, that I was too needy. People told me I thought too much, I analyzed too much. Really could not find my tribe for a long time. And I did an awful lot of healing and really learned that, what's wrong with me is what's right with me, which is what I believe
Wow.
about everybody. What's wrong with you is really what's right with you. Embracing that and finding your tribe and people that really are going to support you and who you are. And I think that's why I have such strong feelings about wanting to model what vulnerability looks like and what it's like to just show up and be who you are and know that
Hmm.
that's really the ultimate. Hey Jen, how are you? And Julie. Um, Aw, thanks you guys for all the love. Yeah, show up and be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the truth then is all of the things that was told to you in the past, that was their truth, but that wasn't yours.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
But what happens is, and again, this is true for all the men. I'm not trying to discount you guys because your experience is real. What I know is I'm a woman and I speak to and about women. Um, but what happens is we're told this over and over, and then we start to believe it ourselves. And those are the messages that come up. And, what was coming up for me today is that feeling of being too much. Like I can't contain my own fear and feeling like somebody else has to hold that space for me. And that's
Mm.
very old and it really puts me in a vulnerable space. And when you ask me today, how can I support you? what I told you is you being able to hold that space for me allows me to be in that space and knowing that you're okay with it because my history tells me that I'm too much. If I can't contain myself, then nobody else can. It's
Wow.
not the truth, but when I'm vulnerable, it feels pretty big.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're
Yeah,
holding that heaviness. And Jamie says this, you were shamed and now you heal others who have been shamed. It heals, but
absolutely.
it never is gone. It makes you you. That is a strong statement, and
Yeah,
that's so true, right? So I've always believed that our own suffering, our own pain, can actually connect us with another person's pain, and that's authenticity. That's genuine human contact. And a lot of us clinicians sometimes forget to tap into that,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
so, from your perspective, it sounds like you're using your experience, your suffering, your pain to help someone else.
yeah. And that's really what a major part of my orientation as a therapist is. And I know it's really controversial that, people with a psychodynamic background or in school were taught, you're a blank slate, you don't show who you are. I've been through years and years and years of lots of therapy. And I have such strong feelings about sharing when it's appropriate and when it's in the best interest of the client, not because I don't have anybody to talk to and I need to, I need to connect with my clients. It's not for any of those reasons. But I've had so many clients tell me how much they appreciate it. Because in the beginning, I would check it out with them. I want to share something with you. If it makes you feel uncomfortable, let's talk about it. And every single client has said it's so normalizing. It's so nice to know that other people are going
Right.
through that. It's such an incredible strength. And I think that this is this is my soapbox. So I'm stepping on my soapbox. But for those of us that really believe in the authenticity and vulnerability and are willing to do that with our clients when it's appropriate, it is so powerful and so healing.
I will validate you on that. I will validate you on that. And, there is a sense where our own stories is incredibly powerful in helping someone else. And, some of that's why I have just been open and honest, even with my own process, right? The
Mm-hmm.
human side, even live streaming videos. When live streaming videos came up, it gave me the green light to be who I am,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you're doing the same thing, stepping outside. And in the world of psychology, yes, unfortunately, there's no such thing. I don't know how anybody can be a blank slate,
Yeah. Yeah.
although that theory is still out there. But I really do believe that you showing up as yourself as a human being is the most powerful intervention in the room.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I've shared this with you before, Ernesto, that when you've shared posts about your vulnerability or you're going through imposter syndrome, I've shared that with clients sometimes. I have a client who has agoraphobia and doesn't leave his home. And being able to share your story, because in his mind, his story is, I'm a loser because I don't leave my house. And to be able to share, someone who's very successful and is doing a lot and is an instructor and struggles with, I mean, he was just kind of floored. And so you've really been also an incredible role model, Ernesto, and, are making a difference not only in the lives of therapists, but I've shared your story with clients and it's been very powerful.
Wow, thank you so much. That's really humbling. And I think you and I share, and the mental health community in general shares. And let me just read to you what Joel says. Even more so, by pretending one is a blank slate, one is more susceptible to letting one's subjectivity intrude. That is absolutely true.
Yeah.
Joel, that's very wise. That's absolutely true. I think our humanity is what makes us some of the best clinicians out there. And I can say it in so many ways. But the other thing that I want to say as well too is the courageousness, the vulnerability that you're showing up there. It's almost as if you're rebranding the word vulnerability as something strong, as something powerful. Our minds look at vulnerability and we see this animal that's that's open to lions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
but you're looking at vulnerability more of as the lion.
Absolutely. And I'm a big fan of Brene Brown. And here's a little tidbit of trivia for all of you that don't know. I was a sign language interpreter before I was a social worker. And one of the things that Brene Brown talks about in one of her talks is she had interpreters that were going to interpret for her, and they were discussing what vocabulary would be coming up. And she asked, what's the sign for vulnerability? This is a sign for vulnerability. It's weak. It's kind of a W that shows weak. And she's like, that's not going to work. So she asked them, what are some other signs that you can use? And what they used was this, which is kind of like opening yourself and exposing yourself.
Open. Uh-huh,
Mm-hmm.
uh-huh.
And I really do think that vulnerability and sensitivity culturally has been seen as being very things that are weak. If you cry, you're weak. If you're vulnerable, you're weak. I think it takes so much courage to show up and allow ourselves to be
Right,
seen.
right.
To allow somebody, not necessarily to have to hold that space for you, but to allow yourself to really be seen and to know that it's incredibly courageous and it's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, culturally, I know in the Filipino culture, that's so true. You cry, you're weak. You have to be strong when someone dies. No, that's bullcrap. It's one of those things where if you lose someone, it's okay to grieve about it, and it creates a lot of psychological distress if you don't be vulnerable about those things. But I'm glad. So what's it like? Let me just check in with you. Okay, here we go. I'm trying my best not to be the therapist on social media right now, but let me just check in with you. Look at all
Sure.
this. You got some really beautiful comments here and some people that's really resonating to what you're saying. So tell me a little bit more about how are you feeling right now in the moment as you're seeing the people making comments here?
I'm overwhelmed. There's This is not the right answer, but this is the true answer. I think there's a part of me that's taken a step back because to allow myself to be so vulnerable and to cry and to see all the comments coming in, like a little bit flooded. And so I feel like I'm present, but I feel like I've kind of taken a step back because it was a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are just tuning in, we're having a conversation here. This is Patricia. She is a psychotherapist in San Diego. We will be filming her promotional video tomorrow, and she is definitely terrified about it, but she is going to be okay. She actually called me today. I've been supporting her for weeks about this, getting her through the process, and she just asked me today, hey, let's do a live streaming video. I need to step out. I need to say something. This is just incredibly powerful. And for those of you who are at a point of your life that's thinking about that, upping your level in your business, upping your level in your relationships, but you're deathly afraid about it, you're watching a woman right now who is showing us all up on how to be courageous and vulnerable. Now, remember the promotional videos that we do, they're out there on social media. They're out there in the interwebs, right? They're out there. You're being seen by thousands of people. You've got a woman right here who's going to step out and go, you know what? I'm just going to let the process be out there. I'm just going to be me, which is the most attractive, authentic, and most powerful approach to branding. So let me just read to you a little bit about some of the things that people are saying. So Renee, hey, how are you doing? She says, I think owning our vulnerability is so powerful and helps our clients on their journey to healing. Absolutely. Joel is saying, I hear you. Sometimes being seen is simultaneously enthralling and scary as hell. Absolutely. And to hear Joel say that, that makes me feel better. And Laura says, screw shame. So you've got tons of support. And the thing is, a lot of us have to be honest and open about this type of conversation. I know I joke a lot about, imposter syndrome is visiting me today, or I'm kind of struggling with this. But yes, those are some of the things I go through on a daily basis, especially as an employer, right? So this is really powerful conversations. What would you say to women who are watching your video right now and in the future, and they're curled up in the ball thinking that there's no hope for them, thinking that dang it, I want to be something. What would you want to say to them?
Well, there are a couple things. If you're really in that place where you're struggling and it's hard to even function, take one thing that you can do for the day, just one little thing, because it's so hard when you're in that place where you're so withdrawn and you got so much to do. You just pick one thing so that you get moving. But if you're in a place where you're ready to challenge yourself, then, to really think about what is your why? Why is it that it's important for you to show up and be who you are and to challenge yourself and to move through that? And
Wow.
it is scary. And what I really want to emphasize is when things are going well, we tend to function really well. But when the stress goes up, our ability to function sometimes gets compromised, or, our history comes up, we feel more vulnerable, we're going to regress a little bit. But that's really normal. And if we're challenging ourselves and doing a lot to grow, that stuff is going to come up even more. And so to know that that's just part of the process, it's not a bad thing. You just know that that's part of the process that, again, Brene Brown says if she finishes a talk and she's nauseous, she knows that she probably was vulnerable enough. I like that. It normalizes it for me because, Joel had said, it's like, it's thrilling and it's kind of scary to show up and really be authentic. It's like walking a tightrope. And there was that, what was that movie of the guy who was a tightrope walker? They did a movie about it a while ago. Anyways, talk about really being in the present moment. And that's often what vulnerability and authenticity is. So finding safe places. I'm all about being authentic, but you got to have safe places to do it. And if you're around people that are shaming you and telling you that, you think too much, you worry too much, you're too sensitive, you're too needy, those are not the places to show up and be vulnerable. You're just going to get stepped on. So you got to have places where it's safe to do it.
Yeah.
Man
You
on a
know, this
wire.
is
Thank you, Joel.
Man on the Wire. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
This is such an honor to really witness this. And me as a videographer, as a therapist, it helps me to have a different perspective on how uh, gentle I need to be when I'm filming promotional videos. And, from my perspective, I'm sitting here going, hey, I'm going to do a promotional video. I'm excited. Yay. But you're sitting there going, oh my gosh, let me do this breathing technique. Let me do that. So this is also a really good testimony for all of you who are trying to get over your fear of marketing, right? And wanting to step out there and want to promote your private practice or anything like that. You are stepping outside of your comfort zone every single time that you're marketing your practice. And
Hmm.
it takes a lot of courage to do that. And I thank you, Patricia, for your courage and really giving me this opportunity to learn from you. And hopefully people who are watching this and who will be watching your video in the future will also be inspired to step outside of their comfort zone and to see their genius flourish. I'm excited to meet you tomorrow.
I'm excited too. So today I was telling Ernesto, if anybody watches Project Runway with Tim Gunn, at the end of the season when there are three people that are left, Tim Gunn goes to their houses to meet them and see their work and meet their family. Well, Ernesto's my Tim Gunn. And so Tim Gunn is coming to my house tomorrow because I have a home office. So Tim Gunn is coming to my house tomorrow and I'm excited.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious. Well, I'm honored, and Tim Gunn is the man. He's pretty funny. I like him.
He is. He is. So I have a question for you. I thought this was just going to be on your page, but I saw somebody who's a friend, one of my friends. So is this going out like everywhere?
This is actually on my personal page.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Because somebody showed up that I don't think is on your personal page. I got a little nervous and
Oh. Oh, you know what? Because it was shared. It
uh-huh.
was shared.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe when I tagged you, it came up.
Huh.
But there's six right now.
Huh.
Yeah, it came up.
Huh. Well, maybe I got to be vulnerable with a lot more people tonight. Isn't that great?
Yes, you did. I had a notification that someone, three people actually shared this actual feed right here, and it says they're really what do you call this? They are they thought it was powerful, so they're sharing it. So I get notification on my end when it gets shared.
Okay.
So I guess you're making some moves.
You know, there's a plan. I make a plan. God laughs. So I'm just going to go with it.
Well, thank you so much for really stepping out. This is just incredibly beautiful. And yeah, we'll see each other tomorrow.
Sounds great. Thank you, Ernesto. And thank you for creating a safe place to do this. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Mwah.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.